inside the Niger Delta.
Glad to have you back on the program. And if you're just joining us, it's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Despite mounting campaigns to end artisanal crude oil refining, the business continues to flourish in the Niger Delta, where it has provided employment opportunities for the largely unemployed population. The recent rapid growth of what the federal government refers to as illegal refineries is no doubt fueled by massive crude oil theft, allegedly perpetrated by influential state officials and their collaborators in the oil and gas industry. In this report, correspondent Tekena Mufuri takes a look at possible ways to check activities militating against the federal government energy security strategy in the Niger Delta.
The creeks of the Niger Delta are littered with several hidden camps where young men and women daily eke out a living refining stolen crude. In these camps, they employ crude technology to produce petroleum products such as petrol, diesel and kerosene, which are sold to chains of buyers. With an ever-increasing patronage, the business remains lucrative and continues to attract many more new entrants. Although their activities run foul of the law, operators of illegal refineries in the Niger Delta admit that they are in the business to survive harsh economic conditions occasioned by widespread unemployment and other forms of social insecurity.
There's nothing we do for a living. This is our only source of wealth that we do and eat. Without this thing, we can't survive.
Neglected by the government, pressured by demands of subsistence and expectations from family and community, some fringe of our youth have been attracted to illegitimate means of fending for themselves through participation in what has been euphemistically called bunkering, or what we call kpofire. Recent study has shown that that industry, if what it is, employs about 500,000 youths in the Niger Delta today. And the GDP of that economy is about 3 times the national average. What that brings to fore is that to pull, you require something dramatic to pull this group who are now living on 3 times the national average of the GDP out of that into something else.
Over the past 5 years, employment opportunities created by artisanal refining of crude oil have been unprecedented, but they are only short-term gains that compromise the future of its operators and others living in the Niger Delta. As a matter of fact, their crude method of oil production has had far-reaching negative implications for the environment, whose productive capacity is already in distress.
The oil spills is happening as a result of a high-level collaboration between the Nigerian state, the oil companies, their officials, and some miscreants in the communities. Oil bunkering has become, in fact, one of the most lucrative businesses around here. And most of our young people who did not have access to quality education, who are jobless, have been lured to come into the newly created industry that is oil bunkering. And they have been benefiting from it at their own expense and the expense of the environment of their communities. This is sad and pathetic.
Occasionally, some operators of illegal refineries in the Niger Delta are rounded up by security agencies and paraded before the press, while the major actors seem to be having a field day. This scenario is blamed on the complicity of an organized cartel of oil thieves supplying stolen crude to artisanal refiners. In this cartel, as it has been alleged, are insider industry and security networks bent on fleecing the country of billions of petrol dollars accruable to national coffers. Only recently, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike openly accused the General Officer commanding 6th Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Jamil Sahem, of running an illegal oil bunkering squad. Governor Wike had further alleged that Major General Sahem was involved in the business to finance his quest to be appointed Chief of Army Staff.
The GOC has his own team now doing oil bunkering for him because he wants to be Chief of Army Staff. If you give that kind of person Chief of Army Staff, what kind of security would we have in this country? The security are also part of the oil bunkering. Nobody can hide it. When you see his own task force are doing oil bunkering for him, what will he do? Will he arrest them? Will he arrest them? So he has his own team that making money for him. That's why he feels comfortable that nobody can. May God save Nigeria.
At the moment, Nigeria's daily crude oil production is estimated at about 2.1 million barrels, with hundreds of thousands stolen and sold to illegal refiners. As chairman of the Petroleum Revenue Special Task Force, Nuhu Ribadu recently disclosed, the country loses a whopping $9 billion to oil theft annually. In responding to the massive thefts in the bleeding oil fields of the Niger Delta, the federal government has made efforts to improve local capacity in crude oil refining with a window for investors to establish modular refineries. Owing to lack of funds, it however appears the artisanal refiners are incapacitated to invest in modular refineries.
A lot of those who are involved in this are looking for crude for free. They don't have a business model that says somebody's going to sell them crude to refine. They just want to steal it and refine it. So what I think we need to do is not just to keep hampering on the problem. I think the next phase of work that we need to do is to find a policy whereby you can create cooperatives in certain communities and then take individuals who are involved in this on some agreement to stop, because you can't be doing this at the same time you're sabotaging the government. Some way to create those cooperatives, try and put some funding, and we can work with NCDMB on that. Put a bit of minimal funding, put technical know-how, put a business structure around it, put a major shareholder who is an entrepreneur around it, and then get them to participate in that form. They get a job, they polish up their skill set, crude is paid for so it's not stolen, and the environment is better dealt with.
We talk about so-called illegal oil refineries, but the reality is that the people in the communities do not have access to energy, alternative energy sources, and they don't have access to jobs. What do you expect them to do? The solution to this problem is not to criminalize community people, but to look at the real problems and identify what they are.
The activities of oil thieves and operators of illegal refineries in the Niger Delta are a major threat to the stability of Nigeria's oil and gas industry. Unfortunately, there seems to be no end in sight for this act of economic sabotage until the federal government decides to rethink its energy security strategy in Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Inside the Niger Delta.